Good morning, everybody. Your locations, put your locations in the comment section. Thank you for that gift, whoever just dropped that. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Drop your locations in the comment section, and we make sure we are good on every platform we stream on. We are usually live on seven different platforms. Let's see. We are live on Rumble. I think we're live on Rumble. Are we good on Rumble? Let's see. Yes, so we are good on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble, and Rumble Studio is working actively. Thank you, Rumble Studio. We are good on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Let me check and see if we are active on X. I had to actually check X to see. Yes, we are live on X. Good morning, X. We are live on Facebook. Facebook/Work on Your Game University. I had Facebook/Work on Your Game. That page got hacked. I had to start a new one. So we got Work on Your Game University. We are live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is Dre all day. X is Dre all day. YouTube is Dre all day. Rumble is also Dre all day. We are live on Instagram. Good morning, Instagram. And we are live on TikTok. Good morning, TikTok. So, good morning. Did you come in here to join me?
Yes.
You want to watch the live stream? You're going to be a part of this?
What is that?
That is a timer. So my son's asking about this. This is a timer. You see the time on there?
Yeah.
What number does it say? You can't touch this. What number does it say?
I just want to hold it.
I know, but if you move it, then the time's going to go off and I'm going to lose my time. But we need this. I'm actively using this. It says 32:35 and it's counting down. This tells Daddy how much time he has to finish doing what he's doing. We're on the clock. That's what we call being on the clock. Can you say good morning to TikTok?
I just want.
You just want to what?
I just want to hold that.
Yes, but I'm using it right now, so you can't hold it because this is not a time to hold it. Here's what you can hold. You want to hold this?
No.
Okay. You can't hold this. You got to wait because I'm using it right now. Give me your locations in the comment section, folks. Crespo Realty checking in from Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey. Shout out to Willingboro. Shout out to Woodbridge. Shout out to Jersey City. Shout out to Brick City. Shout out to the Bricks, Newark, New Jersey. Shout out to Atlantic City. I know a lot of people in Jersey. Shout out to Camden and Philadelphia, my hometown. Shout out to Philly. I am based in South Florida. And there was something else I was going to do before I got into this, but that's okay. I forgot what it was. We'll get back to it in a minute. Let me shout out a few people in the comment section. Tell me your location as y'all are checking in. I want to touch on a couple odds and ends that are not the main topic here today. The main topic here today is the mayor of Chicago, Mr. Brandon Johnson. He is putting himself at odds with Donald Trump. And we're going to talk about how he's doing it. And we're going to try to theorize as to why he's doing it. Now, he has his reasons. I think it's some different reasons, but we're going to try to figure it out. We're going to try to figure out what is the real reason Mayor Johnson in Chicago is positioning himself as resistance to Donald Trump. So Traditional said, just got my notification. Good morning. Tap as you come in. Yes, tap the screen as you come in. We're at 5,000 likes already. Traditional all day. Appreciate it. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Murphy the Mutt, good morning. All you all's comments is like right against my son's gray shirt. So I had to strain to see what they say. Traditional said we got new hearts. Is there new hearts? Shout out to the new hearts on TikTok. I don't even know how the TikTok system with this stuff works. I just turn on the camera and do my thing. Murphy the Mutt checking in from Bristol, Tennessee. Good morning. Jules from Northern California. Good morning. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit is in the building. Good morning. Kuya Binya Sharal, Manson, North Carolina. Good morning. Karen Bishop said, good morning from Alabama. Spent our weekend at a beautiful beach, Orange Beach, Alabama. I think that's where, what's my guy's name who's down there? Andy Andrews is based out of. I've been on Andy's podcast 2 times. He's written several books. That. Shout out to Andy Andrews. What, this?
No.
This?
Yeah.
This is called a remote control.
What is this for?
It controls that clock up there on the wall. But it's not going to change anything right now because it's locked in, so it's not going to move. Just all day from Charlotte. Good morning. Lacey River from Vancouver, Washington. Good morning. Carol Ann Collins, New York. It's in the building. Good morning. Marky Man, good morning from Sacramento.
What button do I press?
Well, you could push any button, but it's not going to change right now because this remote control actually is kind of tricky to change anything. I don't want you changing my clock. So I gave you something that's not actually going to do anything. That's what I gave you. KB said, hi, cutie. You talking to me or my son? Ball Too Hard 23. Good morning to you. Diesel RN 1970 said he's adorable. Thank you. Sherry 1967. Good morning from Michigan. We got Sophie the cat checking in from Florida. So Dora checking in from Chicago. Good morning. Alabama lady checking in from Alabama. And Gary Gray. Good morning. Thank you. Chicago is official Shy Blee 705. Gary Sherman. Good morning. I appreciate it. Bougie farmer
I pushed
from Southwest
all
Michigan.
the buttons.
You push all the buttons?
Yeah.
Okay. You can push all the buttons. You can do that. Happy Kitty checking in from Philly. What part of Philly you in, Happy Kitty? Shout out to Philadelphia. Shout out to Mount Airy. Shout out to Uptown, where I'm from. Gary Sherman asks, am I a lawyer? No, I'm not a lawyer, but I do play one on TikTok actively. Because I can say, what are we arguing about this morning? LOL, Southwest Kansas. Well, we might not argue at all. What we're going to do is talk about Mr. Johnson, the mayor, Mr. Johnson from Chicago. We got some Chicago in here. So the mayor from Chicago, we're going to talk about this guy. But before we get into that, a couple odds and ends. Did y'all see this ad that LeBron James put out? I guess it came out yesterday. I guess that Nike put the ad
What
out, but
does
it's
this
a LeBron
red
ad.
button do?
That's the on and off button. That's the power button. So LeBron James put this ad out. Well, LeBron James via Nike puts out this ad, and he's talking how, I just want to see what this ad said, because this is a very interesting ad, what it says. He carried the weight of every expectation, but he never broke. We are all witnesses. Every rival was defeated. Every idol was destroyed. He took the crown and kept it.
Who took the crown?
Allegedly, LeBron James did, but I don't agree with this frame. I don't think this is true. What do you think?
No.
Yeah, my son said no as well. So this ad is kind of interesting to me because it says, now he carried the weight of every expectation. That one, I would say, yeah, he pretty much did. LeBron James had very high expectations coming into the NBA, probably the highest that I've seen of any player as long as I've been following the NBA. He had the most expectations. That is true. And he pretty much surpassed every expectation. He also did that. That's true. It said he never broke. I would not agree with that. It said we are all witnesses. Okay, fine. Every rival was defeated. That's not true, because every rival he allegedly had, they all ended up beating him more than he beat them. Who were his rivals? He played the Spurs more than once. They got a winning record against him. He played against the Warriors more than once. They got a winning record against him. And I guess Steph Curry has a winning record in the finals, we're talking, against him. And Kevin Durant in the finals, Kevin Durant got a better record against him. And it was supposed to be him against Kobe twice, 2009 and 2010. Y'all remember Nike had the little puppets, the LeBron Kobe puppets starting going to play against each other. This is supposed to be the big showdown in the NBA finals, and LeBron didn't show up for either one of those showdowns. And both of those years, LeBron James was the MVP of the NBA. And he was supposedly, his team was the favorite to make it to the finals. He didn't do it either time. So to say that every rival was defeated, well, technically he won at least once against, what is that?
I don't know.
Looks like a broken piece off one of your toys. That's something that broke. So technically he did win a game, but you can't say you defeated a rival if the rival beat you more than you beat them. That's not defeating a rival. Every idol was destroyed. I don't know who the idols were. I guess you're talking about Michael Jordan. Did he destroy Michael Jordan? I would say no. He took the crown and kept it. I would also say no to that. I mean, he kind of gave himself a crown, not the crown. This is a very interesting ad. So there's going to be a lot of conversation about this on X today. If you would like to be engaged, then you can follow me on X. My name on X is Dre All Day. And I'm just listening. I'm just looking at some of the conversations here, but that'll be an interesting conversation to have. Dre All Day.
No.
Yes, that's my name on X.
No, you're just Dre.
Yeah, I'm just Dre, but Dre All Day is my name on X. So that's just an interesting little tidbit. Not the topic here today. Let's get into the actual topic. So President Trump right now is ramping up immigration enforcement by planning large-scale deployments, potentially including military forces to cities like Chicago to do things like mass deportations and, of course, to help with the crime problem that he continues to point out. And has prompted a fierce backlash from the mayor of Chicago, Mr. Brandon Johnson. So in Chicago, y'all had the woman, Lori Lightfoot. She was running for re-election and she lost, and she got beat by this guy, Brandon Johnson. Lori Lightfoot older black woman, Brandon Johnson, older black man. Looks like he might be a little bit younger than Lori Lightfoot, but black man. Now, the mayor has issued an executive directive. This came out probably maybe Friday of last week. I don't know if y'all saw it. So he put out an executive directive that he can do because, the president has executive orders, but the mayor can put out an executive order for the city that he has control over. He has say over. And it instructs the police of Chicago. This is the directive. It instructs the police of Chicago to not cooperate with any federal agents or troops that enter the city under the pretext of crime fighting. And he warns, be careful putting your hands in there. Don't put anything in there. Okay?
I did anyway.
Okay, don't put anything in there because that is going to get thrown back out at us and that can hurt you. And don't put your fingers in there because it can cut your fingers. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So do not participate or engage with any federal agents or troops. And he warns that any such engagement would violate city sovereignty. In other words, the city is not doing what the city wants to do if you listen to or cooperate with anybody who comes from outside of the city to help us out, allegedly. That's what he's saying that's why he's issuing this edict to his cops in Chicago. Now, this move comes even as many residents in Chicago, especially in the high crime neighborhoods, have openly expressed desperation for federal support with the crime issues when local resources fall short. Meanwhile, a federal judge has issued a nationwide block on any expansion of expedited deportations. So that means if Trump and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and company, they want to expedite the deportation of anybody getting out of the country, a federal judge has blocked that right now. This is all the legal red tape and back and forth that happens under Trump. We see this happening all the time. So this is undercutting a central pillar of Trump's whole strategy and policy. So right now there are tensions between federal power and local governance. That's pretty much what's happening. And we're going to talk about Chicago here today. Tomorrow, I'm planning on, depending on what happens today, is Trump is making some type of announcement at 2:00 this afternoon. Depending on what that is, if it's not some blockbuster news, which I'm betting it probably won't be, but let's just say that if it is, then we might talk about that. But if it's not, then my planned topic for tomorrow is we're going to talk about the state of Maryland, their governor, this guy Westmore, also a black Democrat, coincidentally, and it matters. So we're going to mention why that matters in a moment. He is going against Donald Trump as well for other reasons, and there's a deeper issue when it comes to the state of Maryland that I'll get to whenever we get around to that topic. So there's these tensions now between what the federal government is saying they could or might do, and y'all know Donald Trump does this all the time. He alludes to things that he might do that he's not actually going to do. He'll just allude to them to get everybody excited and get everybody talking about it and possibly to move people to action. But then he doesn't actually follow through. But because everybody's talking about it, it draws attention to the subject. Donald Trump's pretty good at that. We call it controlling the news cycle. He's been doing it for 10 years, as long as he's been in politics. So it brings up these questions about political theater versus public safety and the real effects on citizens who get caught in the crossfire. So to introduce myself, for those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I've written a few books, done a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help people master their command of the room. We mostly work with entrepreneurs, leaders, ambitious people who want to grow and advance in what they're doing, not those who are just okay staying at the same spot. We do this through things that everybody goes and looking for: discipline, confidence, performance, systems, strategies, and of course, producing results. You can learn more about working with me and our programs and what we do by going to the link in my profile or in the pinned comment, whatever app you happen to be watching me on right now. And I will tell you how to get into our world through maybe some books that we give away for free and things like that at the end of this stream, which we will go no later than 10:00 a.m. Eastern today. That's at least the plan. I might go a little bit over time depending on what's going on in the comment section, but usually we're done by 10:00. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, and we're usually done by 10 a.m. Eastern at the latest. And what I do here is I go through the content. I'm going to tell you I try to give you both sides, not try to, but I do give you both sides framing on this subject. So what one side may say, what another side will say, I'll tell you what they're saying. Then I'll give you my opinions or theories or my perspective on those things. And then after I'm done doing that, then we open up the conversation to where I read your comments in real time and I respond to your comments in real time. And that's when we really have fun, because that's when I get to use my soundboard and I get to use one of the sounds that I know all of you are looking forward to hearing. I'll just play it right now. If anybody uses the straw man logical fallacy, you'll get to hear this sound. Wait, sound didn't play. Hopefully this app still works.
Strawberry
there it is.
cheesecake.
Let me play it again.
Strawberry cheesecake.
So you'll hear about, I'll explain to you what the sounds mean later, but I just played that now because I know a lot of people like that sound. So that's when we get to the comments. We'll get to that and I'll explain what that means, how they work, and how you can get a sound played for yourself if you so choose in a moment. But let's get into the material here first. Mayor Johnson, this is Brandon Johnson in the city of Chicago. He is standing firm on local autonomy by using his executive power in the city to shield residents from what he sees as federal overreach. I think this is some bullshit, Mayor Johnson. I get it, while at the same time, I don't like that he's doing it. I get it because Brandon Johnson is a Democrat, and Chicago has been a Democrat stronghold for a long time. And Mayor Johnson has to play the political game. The political game is, if you're a Democrat, especially a black Democrat, you cannot do anything that sounds like you're even considering aligning yourself, agreeing with, or even being neutral about anything that Donald Trump thinks, says, or does. He has to do it. This is the game that he has to play. It's unfortunate that he has to play this game, because who gets caught in the crossfire, the people who actually lose in this process of this political posturing, are the actual citizens of Chicago. And they're the ones who are saying, hey, we actually could use some help because there's not enough policing going on. That's the reason why crime is so high here in the city. And Brandon Johnson is reframing the subject. Instead of making it about crime being high in the city, he's saying we're not going to accept federal overreach. So he's changing the subject. Instead of the subject being there's crime in the city and we want some help, he's changing it to, well, we're not going to let the federal government overreach into what we're doing here in the city, and the president is not going to overreach and dip into, or what's the word I'm looking for? Impugn on my powers. He's not going to step over the line of my powers as a mayor of a city. My sovereignty and the sovereignty of this city is not Trump necessarily. What's the word I'm looking for here? Theoretically, could overreach and do what he wants to the city of Chicago, not what he wants, but within certain legal boundaries. He could do it if he pushed hard enough. And the mayor is saying, no, we're not going to allow you to do that. And he's making a show of, I'm standing up to Donald Trump, because we all can see over the last 10 years, any politician who makes a show of, quote unquote, standing up to Donald Trump, they rile up their base, they rile up their fans, and it wins you some points amongst political observers, amongst people on the political left, whether that's politicians or voters on TV, in the media. You can see that the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has leveraged this over the last 3 weeks to allegedly get himself a whole lot of popularity and allegedly make himself the front runner for the 2028 Democratic nomination. Big problem with all of this, as I've said every single time we talk about it, is that Donald Trump is not on the ballot in 2028. He's already in his second term of president. He's not running for president again. He's already old. He's close to 80 years old. He's not running for president again. So every Democrat who's making the show of everybody look at me and support me because I'm showing you how to stand up to Donald Trump, the frame doesn't quite make sense, because standing up to Donald Trump is not what's going to, that shouldn't be what wins you an election. Maybe it is, but Donald Trump's not the person you're running against. You're running against a Republican, but who? We don't know yet. And are you going to be the nominee? We don't know yet. But if your whole frame is I'm standing up to Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's not a person. So you're fighting against a ghost. I don't understand why Democrats keep doing this. I do understand, but I don't understand. I do understand because it draws a lot of attention. You see every single Democrat these days who comes onto the national stage. Look around. Every Democrat politician who gets national attention, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Brandon Johnson, Wes Moore, and any other name that you want to name, notice that every single one of them, the most prominent thing that they say, the thing that gets them the most attention on TV, on the internet, wherever, is when they say something to, allegedly to, or about Donald Trump. He has everybody playing his game. Everybody's playing to his frame. Speaking of LeBron James, as I mentioned at the top of this live stream, LeBron James' whole frame, for the last, we could say for at least the last 10 years of his career, has been Michael Jordan. His frame, actually, since he came into the league. I mean, he wore number 23 for Michael Jordan. He came into the league, his frame was, I'm going to try to catch up to and surpass Michael Jordan. That's been his frame the entire time for 20 years of playing, 20 plus years of playing basketball. And the thing is, Michael Jordan is the frame. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump's like Michael Jordan, and all of these other people are like Kobe and LeBron. They're trying to catch him, and he's not trying to catch them. This is a problem. It's a bigger problem in politics than it is in sports. And sports is just, we're just talking. And politics is a big problem because you are basing your whole campaign, your foundation, your platform on, here's what I'm doing, voters. Y'all should vote for me because here's what I'm doing in response to Donald Trump. Thing is, Donald Trump's already won. He already won the presidential election. You're a governor. You're not competing against Donald Trump. He's the president. You're a governor. He's the president. You're a mayor. What do you do? What does you versus Donald Trump? That's not a competition. You're not in competition. You can't win that competition. And there actually is no real competition. This is the problem that the Democrats have, and they keep having this problem. And every single one of them who comes up and gets attention, they're all doing the same thing. They're all playing by this guy's game. I thought this guy was too unprofessional. I thought this guy was saying dumb stuff on Twitter. I thought this guy was too unhinged. I thought this guy didn't have enough control over himself. I thought this guy was too old and he didn't make any sense and he's too beat up. I thought this guy was not presidential enough. These are all the negative things that the Democrats have been saying about Donald Trump for the last 10 years. Yet here we are, 2025, and they're all trying to be just like him. And everything every single one of them does is all about him. But I thought he had all these problems and all these things that made him unworthy. Isn't that what we've been told for the last 10 years? That Donald Trump is just unworthy, and you go and list. You got the what we call the Gish-Gallop logical fallacy when you just start listing all the terrible things about Donald Trump. You got 34 felonies, and he got this conviction, and he did that, and he cheated on his wife, and he was with this sex worker, and he did all these things, and he's got these bad tweets, and Joe Biden was a better president than him, and Kamala Harris would have been a better president than Donald Trump. And what's the other thing? He tried to overthrow the government. He tried to destroy the Constitution, and he staged an insurrection. All these terrible things you can say about Donald Trump that makes him such a bad guy. And my question is, if he is so terrible and you got all these reasons why he's terrible, why are all the politicians opposing him trying to be just like him right now? Every single one of them wakes up every day and figures out, what can I do or say that shows how I compare to him? That's what they're all doing. They're all trying to measure up to him and show, hey, look at me. Look what I'm doing compared to Donald Trump. Gavin Newsom, this is what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. Everything he says is about Donald Trump. But I thought Trump was such a terrible politician. Why are you comparing yourself to a terrible politician? Shouldn't you be above him? Shouldn't you be elevated above him to where he doesn't even matter? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? When you're way better than somebody, you don't have to mention them or talk about them. And nothing you do should ever even bring them into the conversation. This is what they're all doing. Again, Brandon Johnson, he's doing the exact same thing. So he's saying that cooperation with troops would erode trust between communities and police, and that Chicago must retain its own authority. So this is what politicians have to do. And this is one of the reasons why I continually stress to you all that you should not trust or depend on a politician and or the government at any level. Local, federal, state, you shouldn't depend on any of them in the government because they all have to play this game. I get what Brandon Johnson is doing, and I understand exactly why he's doing it. He has to do it for the sake of his career. If he's going to last in politics, he has to do this. Now, when it comes to you, the citizen, especially any of you who lives in Chicago, this is terrible for you, but it's great for his career. That's the problem with politics. The things that are great for the politician's career usually don't do anything to help or serve you. And when you understand that, then you'll come to the conclusion that I have just explained to you, is that you should not be trusting or depending on the government for anything because they are not in it to help you. They're in it to help themselves. And if they happen to help you in the process, cool. But if they happen to screw you in the process, that's also cool. Brandon Johnson is saying, we're not going to bring troops into the city, even though Chicago clearly has a violent crime problem, simply because he wants to stand on the frame of, we must retain our own internal authority. And me as the mayor, I don't want to have anybody going over my head. What the hell does that have to do with serving the people? The answer is absolutely nothing. But it serves him because he's going to look good in the eyes of the Democrat string pullers, the people who control what happens in politics. He looks good in their eyes, and that will help him further his career, at least in theory. And that's the game that he's playing. At the same time, the people of Chicago, unfortunately, I can't feel too bad for you because y'all voted for this guy. I mean, y'all voted for him. I mean, he was chosen in a free and fair election to be the mayor of your city. Y'all chose this guy. So this is what you get. I mean, elections have consequences. Isn't that what people say? Elections have consequences. Okay, this is the consequence. And this is the guy. Now, the other consequence is what happens when you decide to depend on and trust in the government. Because you may not like the politician. Maybe you live in Chicago. You don't like this guy. I understand you. As long as you're not depending on and relying on the government, then mentally, at least you can stay in the right space. So refusing federal help, the city of Chicago, that is, and Mr. Johnson, that could leave residents exposed to unchecked crime. Well, yeah, we know. I mean, they're already exposed to unchecked crime. That's the problem. That's the reason why Donald Trump is saying I should send some troops into Chicago, because there's crime happening there that's not being checked. The city simply doesn't have the resources to police everything that needs to be policed. Any of you ever seen any TV shows or documentaries that talk about the police systems in big cities, especially Democrat-run cities, and why that happens is an interesting conversation that we're not going to go all the way into here today, is that they often just don't have the resources. They don't have a big enough budget to actually do all the policing that they want to do. This is why crimes go unsolved. This is why criminals go unarrested. And this is why crime just happens and it never gets checked. Because there's simply not enough people around to do all the work that needs to be done. And the city understands this, and they have to strike this balance. So if you're running a police department in a city that has a whole lot of crime, you basically have two ways of looking at it. Actually, you got three. One is that you can go against the crime and try to fight crime just a normal way. We're going to send the police that we have out to the areas where there's high crime, and they're going to catch criminals and fight crime, and we'll just do more of the business as usual, and hopefully the cops just get better at being cops. Is that going to work? Probably not. It's simply because you have it in a limited number of resources, and there can always be more criminals and more crime. So that's option A. And these options are not in any particular order. Option B is that you can say, we're going to go hard on crime, and we're going to be super, super strong on crime. Now, be clear what that means when a politician, and the chief of police is a politician, in case any of you didn't know. They're a politician. They are going to say, we're going to be hard on crime. Here's what they do. They tell their sergeants and lieutenants, and it gets down to the rank and file cops, that we just need to get more crime on the books. What does crime on the books mean? It means reporting more crime. So if that means they send a bunch of cops out to go write parking tickets, they're going to do it. If it means pulling more people over for not slowing down before you make a right turn at a red light, then they're going to do it. If it means pulling people over for speeding and writing more citations, they're going to do it. Why? Because the more of those that they write, the more the stats look like they are being harder on crime. So look at all this crime that we have caught in the last 6 months since I became chief of police. That's what we call juking the stats. So they just go find ways to report more crime so that they can show you, look at all this increased crime we have caught and done something about over the last 6 months. So it looks like they're doing something. And that's a way to lie to the public. You're lying with data. You're lying with facts. It's one of the reasons facts don't matter, because you can lie with data, and you're telling people that you're doing something. That's option B, is that you just go look for more ways to report more crime. You take something that would have been a misdemeanor, you report it as a felony. You give people harsher sentences than what they're supposed to get. Instead of giving this person 6 months probation, you give them 6 months in jail. Why? Because it looks like you're doing more against crime. And who loses in this situation? The everyday citizen. Again, the person who just made a turn at a red light, they get a citation, and that goes into the stats. And now I got to pay a citation of $135, not because I did anything wrong, simply because the cop who pulled me over got told by his sergeant, who got told by his lieutenant, got told by his sergeant, got told by chief of police, we got to be harder on crime. So go find some crime and make sure it goes down in the books. That's option B. It's just go find more crime and report it. Option C is we're going to report less crime so that we can say crime is down. This is what happens in the city of Baltimore. In the city of Baltimore, the amount of arrests that happened in schools went down by like 90%, 90+% over a couple of years. Now, how are there 90+% less arrests in schools? You know how it happened? Because the schools just stopped arresting people. They just stopped arresting people. Somebody did something wrong, they wouldn't call the cops. Or if there was a cop there, they would just tell the cop, don't arrest them. Do something. Send them home for the day. Put them in the back of the car. Let them calm down. Suspend them. Kick them out the school, but don't arrest them. Because if you arrest them, then that goes in the books as an arrest, and those stats make us look bad. So you know what? Just stop reporting this. Okay, you got what would have been a felony. Let's call that a misdemeanor. This person didn't pay the meter and is expired for an hour. Don't even write them a ticket. All right, that's the kind of stuff that they do, is that they take what would have been marked as a crime, it would have went in the books as crime, and they just simply don't mark it as crime. So they don't report it, or they just don't do anything about it, and they just let it go. And why do they do that? Because the chief of police, and this is the mayor telling the chief of police what to do, because the chief of police works for the mayor. They tell them, hey, we want crime to ease up. We need to ease up on crime. And everybody knows what that means without saying it explicitly. That means, okay, let's stop reporting certain things, or let's underreport the things that are actually happening. So when they underreport the crime, it looks like crime is down. And this is where you get the mayor of Baltimore. What's that guy's name? The younger guy who's the mayor of Baltimore, whatever his name is. You get people like him getting quote unquote credit from 2 weeks ago. Oh, look how much crime is down in Baltimore because they did what did they say they do? After school events for kids, and they invested in the neighborhoods, and they did all these things. And people are like, oh, wow, look at that. When you do these great things for the neighborhoods and the communities, that makes crime go down. That is complete bullshit. That is not what happened in Baltimore. And anybody who knows anything about data, anybody who knows anything about the way police departments work, knows that it's very easy to juke the stats. It's very easy to lie with statistics. If you want to make something look good, you want to make something look bad, you can very easily manipulate data to fool people who don't know any better, or to get people who want to believe the lie to just go along and just keep touting the lie. Oh, man, this guy made crime go down in Baltimore. He's just some genius mayor. Yes, all the mayors Baltimore's had for the last 100 years, he's the first one to figure it out. Of course. All right, that's bullshit. And y'all know what it is. And these are the three options that you have when you want to make crime look good, or you want to make it look like you're doing a lot for crime, or you want to make it look like there is no crime. These are the options that you have. And the only honest option, quote unquote, honest options are either A, you just somehow, some way get your cops to be better at being cops. Not going to happen. Or option B, if Donald Trump comes around and says, I'm going to send some troops into your city, accept the troops. The crime will go down. The problem is, now you may look weak to your Democratic peers because you cooperated, quote unquote, with Donald Trump. And most of these politicians would rather let their cities fall to pieces than look like they're cooperating with Donald Trump. Why is this? It's because if they had to choose, what's the bigger priority, taking care of the city or my career, most of them are going to choose their careers because they're career politicians. Again, you think of all these politicians I've named, name something any of these people did professionally that was of note before they got into politics. The answer is you can't name one thing. Now, all these people are career politicians. They didn't do anything before they got into politics. Nothing. Only thing they did was politics, which means they don't want to start a new career. I mean, imagine if you're 47 years old and you were supposed to start a brand new career that you have no experience in. Would you want to do it? Okay, nobody wants to do that. So they don't want to do it either. All right, they are people just like you are. Just like all of us are. They don't want to start a brand new career. They need politics to work. And if politics doesn't work, they got a problem because they don't have any other skill and they don't want to go start a new career from scratch at 38 or 47 or 54 years old. Who wants to do that? Very few people want to do that. So they have to do what they have to do to maintain their careers. And if maintaining their career means I'm going to let the city get into a worse position just to show that I'm not cooperating with Donald Trump, so be it. This is the game of politics, folks. This is another reason why sometimes people ask me, would I ever get into politics? No, a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't want to start a brand new career in politics. Number two, I don't want to have to answer to anybody. In politics, you have to answer to a lot of people. There's a lot of people above you and a lot of people below you. You're working in the midst of a bureaucracy. Number three, I am not built for bureaucracies because I'm going to tell people the actual truth to their faces. As soon as I do that, my career will be over. Number four, you have to accept donor money. And when you accept donor money, you got to do what the donors want you to do. And I don't like people telling me what to do. It's the reason why I'm an entrepreneur. And number five, you have to lie for a living. If you're going to be a politician, you must lie every single day. You can't tell people the actual truth because the actual truth, even though it's true, will piss off too many people. And you can't piss off 75% of the population and win an election. All right, 25% of the people might be happy that you're telling them the truth. The other 75% are mad because you didn't lie to them, because you didn't tell them the thing that makes them feel good. And therefore, they won't vote for you. And your opponent will just do the opposite and take all those voters away from you. And then you're going to lose your next election, 75% to 25%. You'll get trounced. So these are all reasons why I would never get in politics. So, because it's a game of lies. That's what it is. The whole thing is just a whole bunch of lying. And they all do it. So this is not about Democrats or Republicans. They all do it. Now, when it comes to these Democrat-run cities, this is an issue. Because a lot of these Democrat-run cities are cities that are often heavily black populated. And what does the Democrat-run city have to do with black people? Because black people were taught my parents' generation. So if you have parents who were born in the, let's say, the 50s into the 1960s, like my parents were, they were taught and told, and it was indoctrinated into them, that the Democratic Party is all about helping and supporting and pushing forward black people, whereas the Republican Party is either about and for white people or about and for rich people. And since most black people, well, first of all, are definitely not white, and many of them not rich. This is what my parents or my mother said to me when I was a child, where the Republicans are all about helping rich people. That's literally what she said out of her mouth. Democrats have been taught, or black people, excuse me, have been taught that black equals Democrat, and there is no crossing that line. And there are a lot of black people to this very day of all ages, from just barely eligible to vote into the 60s and the 70s of years, who believe that you cannot vote Republican if you're black, because the Republican Party is the party of white people and a party of rich people and a party of racism, whereas the Democratic Party is the party that is by and for black people. I'm saying all that to say this. The reason why many of these Democratic-run cities are Democratic-run is because these cities have a whole lot of black people, and the black people vote Democrat, and that's why Democrats keep winning. You get it in Baltimore. You get it in a city like Chicago, even a city like Philadelphia, where I'm from. These types of things happen. Now, sometimes it can go back and forth, but often it stays the same way for a very long time. And the entire legislature in the city and the state, all black. So, all Democrat, They can be black too, but Democrat. And then these cities, when they're in bad shape, we're talking specifically about the cities of, let's say a city like Chicago, they're in bad shape. And people start pointing like, well, it's all Democrats running the city. What's the problem? They come up with a different excuse. See, if it was all Republicans running it, they could blame the Republicans. But since it's Democrats, they come up with a different excuse. Well, we don't want Donald Trump overreaching into what we're doing. Okay, what about solving the problem, Mayor Johnson? Notice that he doesn't talk about that. One of the things that he said, he was on TV, don't remember what show, and someone was asking him, hey, Donald Trump's thinking about sending troops to help with the crime there. And Brandon Johnson was like, no, we don't want to do that. I think, this is what he said, I'm paraphrasing, I think we could solve crime if we had affordable housing for everyone. This is what he said out of his mouth. If we had affordable housing for everyone, I think that would be a better thing that the federal government could do for us, is give people affordable housing. Here's the problem. A lot of people who commit crimes have affordable housing because they have a house. They got a place to sleep. It's just that they're committing crimes is the problem. It's not that they don't have somewhere to sleep. See, all the crime is not being done by homeless people. The crime is being done by people who have homes. They're just criminals. But if you don't do anything to stop the criminals, then they can be at their home. They'll leave their house and they'll go do crime and go back home. And if there's no cop catching them, then they'll just keep doing it. So it's not the housing issue. That's a red herring. It's a easy, convenient excuse, but it's nonsense. And again, I understand why Mayor Johnson is doing what he's doing. I also understand that it ain't a damn thing that people of Chicago can do about it right now because you voted for the guy. Same thing with Donald Trump. Even if you don't like Donald Trump got elected. So he can make the decisions that he wants to make because we elected him to make decisions. He doesn't have to keep answering to the people during his 4-year term because we voted for him so that he can make decisions without having to answer to us. That's the point. The only time a politician answers to the people is during an election. That's it. In case any of you didn't know. Only time a politician owes you an explanation is during their campaign cycles. If there is no campaign, they don't have to explain anything to you. They don't have to answer anything if they don't want to answer it. They just do things the way they want to do it. Same thing with Joe Biden. He wasn't answering any questions. At least Donald Trump answers questions from the press. You might not like the answers, but he gives the answers. He gives answers. But you elect somebody, they get to do what they want to do. And if you don't like what they're doing, then elect somebody different. That's the way it works. And if you don't like any of the people being elected, well, you can run. These are options that you have. So a federal judge halting this expanded deportation thing. This is another thing that has happened. This is a guardrail against unchecked presidential power, allegedly. I don't think that's what it is. I think this is just a show of let's go against Donald Trump and we'll use the courts if we need to. And they're saying it ensures due process for immigrants and prevents indiscriminate mass removals. I say, yeah, the due process is you're here. Do you have proper documentation? No, you got to get out. That's the process right there. And they're trying to slow that down, which only causes more bureaucracy and red tape and gives politicians a chance to use these things as crutches for not talking about what they should actually be talking about. But let's just go focus on this Donald Trump thing. And because people get so emotionally triggered over the mention of Donald Trump's name, especially his detractors, people who don't like him, whether it be politicians or everyday civilians, that people are easily distracted from the real issues that affect everyday people by talking about something that doesn't affect you every day. But because it's a Donald Trump related topic, you are easily swayed to go pay attention to that. Don't look at that. Look at this. Now, that's what politics is all about. Any of you never heard the concept before? Don't look at that. Look at this. That's the game of politics. So if something's happening over here, like the crime in Chicago, and I'm Brandon Johnson, I don't want you to look at that. So what I'm going to do is change the subject and get you focused on something that's all the way over here. Now, how am I able to successfully do this when I'm doing something so simple? I'm able to do this successfully because the thing that I want you to pay attention to needs to be more emotionally triggering than the thing that I don't want you to pay attention to. This is how you can easily manipulate human beings. All you had to do is trigger their emotions. Why? Because emotion overpowers logic 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. You get people emotional, then their logic completely turns off. It's like turn off a light switch. Logic goes out as soon as you get people emotional. What subject gets everybody emotional? Donald Trump. So if there's some problem in my city and I'm a Democrat and I don't want you noticing that problem because it makes me look bad, then all I'm going to do is bring up Donald Trump. And if I can find some way to talk about Donald Trump, then you will ignore all the logical issues that are happening all the way over here. Are there any logical issues happening in California that Gavin Newsom doesn't want you paying attention to? I don't even know, but I would bet that there probably are a bunch. And Gavin Newsom knows what they are. And there are people in California who know and are talking about it actively. And Gavin Newsom said, I don't want everybody talking about that. So what can I do? Oh, easy. Let me just talk about Donald Trump. This is an easy game, folks. It's a nasty game, but it's an easy game if you understand how to play it. The challenge for the Democrats is when Donald Trump's no longer president, then what you going to do? All right, that's the problem. And that's a problem that is looming because they got about 3 years to figure it out. Actually, they got a year to figure it out because the midterms are coming. And then they got 2 years after that to figure it out because they're going to need an answer. Right now, Democrats don't have an answer to this question. I'm sure there's somebody in the Democratic Party that is asking this question, but they're being ignored right now because talking about Donald Trump is much more engaging. That's the situation. Now, that's the problem that the Democrats have. And even if you're not big into politics, this is a problem that everyday civilians have if you trust in politicians or depend on politicians, because the whole point of politics, lest we forget, is by the people and for the people. Let's not forget about that. That's what politics is. By the people, for the people. What are your politicians doing right now? What have I spent the last 20 minutes explaining to you? They're not doing anything for you. All they're doing is making it look like they're doing something for you by bringing up an emotionally engaging topic that draws your attention and makes you forget about the thing that you actually want. Donald Trump draws your attention, but does Jasmine Crockett trashing Donald Trump on X do anything to help you? Or the district that she's allegedly representing in Texas, where she's from, is she doing anything to help the district when she's making posts about Donald Trump? The answer is no, she's not doing anything. I'm using her as an example, but bring in any name you want. Gavin Newsom, what's he doing for the state of California when he's talking about Donald Trump? It sounds like he's campaigning for president in 2028, but what does it have to do with his job as governor in 2025? The answer is nothing. That's the problem. What is Brandon Johnson doing to help crime in Chicago? Well, when he's talking about what he's not going to do to cooperate with Donald Trump, the answer is he's doing nothing. And then he papers over the whole point of, hey, there's crime in Chicago. What about that? Oh, he didn't answer that question. All right, the press conference is over. Y'all get it? This is why you don't trust the government. If y'all didn't catch, I'm trying to give this to you in so many different angles so you understand it. So this ruling is stalling enforcement and leaving communities in limbo, as I already explained. Residents who are in crime-heavy areas are trapped while politicians and judges are arguing over authority, again, which has nothing to do with the crime. This is how you get screwed as an everyday citizen when you're trusting and depending on the government. And I get it, those of you who have been groomed to believe that the government is supposed to help you, because, again, ostensibly what the government is by and for the people. That is what it says. That's the documentation, by and for the people. But that ship sailed a long time ago. So if we're here in 2025, American citizen, and you're still believing in that, I'm here to give you a wake-up call. Or this is a splash of cold water in your face. They ain't doing that no more. That's not the game anymore. That's supposed to be the game, but that's not the game anymore. And everybody needs to accept that and make the necessary adjustments. So Mayor Johnson's stance, saying he's going to prevent militarization of Chicago's policing. So he's allegedly protecting the cops, which is rich. So turn the city into an occupation zone for federal troops could damage civic life and escalate tensions unnecessarily. Could. Key word here is could. It could damage civic life. I think civic life is already damaged. If there's high violent crime in your city, the civic life has already been destroyed and the tension already exists. So they're saying that the troops could escalate tensions. Well, they could, but the troops are there to deter criminals. How is it going to escalate tensions? How would that happen? Now, of course, you can come up with plenty of theories of how it could happen, but let's look at the situation and ask ourselves, what is the better option? Bring troops in and they can help the cops actually deter criminals and make the civilians feel more safe. Or if the troops come in, is going to escalate tension. What tension? The issue in Chicago right now is not the criminals against the cops. The situation in Chicago right now is the criminals against the civilians. The cops are not the ones who have tension with the criminals. The cops have tension because they can't do the job they want to do. So to say that bringing the troops in is going to escalate tensions with who? I told y'all this before, and I'll say it again. As a law-abiding citizen, I'm happy when I see cops. I'm not bothered by cops. If I go outside and see 10 cops standing on the corner, I'm assuming they're doing something might have happened, so I might need to go around. But if I see one cop standing on the corner, just standing there, operating the beat, I wouldn't be bothered by that. I'm not doing any crime, so I'm not worried when I see a cop. I'm happy when I see a cop, because every time I see a cop, that means there's probably not going to be any crime happening right here on this spot where the cop is watching. The criminals aren't that dumb. They're not going to do something right in front of a cop or a couple of cops. So I'm happy when I see cops. That means it's safe. So how is it going to escalate tensions if you bring in troops? If I see troops, even better. All right, they got bigger guns than the cops. I'm not doing any crime, so I'm not worried. And again, the more of them that's around, the presence of a police officer is a deterrent from people doing dumb stuff. We all know this to be true. It's the reason why you see a security guard standing in the middle of the Gucci store at the mall. Do people just go and grab and run from the Gucci store? Not when there's a cop standing there. Now, if there's no cop, that's a different story. There's a cop standing there, you're not going to just grab stuff and try to run out the door, because the cop's standing right there with a gun on the left hip, a gun on the right hip, a bulletproof vest on, and a whole bunch of weapons. And you know they have situational authority. You ain't going to try a store where the cop is there. Everybody knows this to be true. So how is this going to escalate tension? It doesn't make any sense. Critics say that this is performative resistance against Trump. I guess that makes me a critic, because that's exactly what this is. And residents are seeing rising crime under Mayor Johnson in Chicago. And blocking federal aid is about scoring political points. It's not about solving problems. I already told you all that many times here. This is the reason why you do not trust any politician, because they're all liars. Now, Mayor Johnson's defiance could inspire other mayors to resist any perceived federal intrusion. I say, of course it will. They're already inspired. They're already inspired to do anything they can to show that they are standing up to or up against Donald Trump. Even though, the very things that Donald Trump is saying are things that would actually possibly help the cities. Now he's saying it to trash the person. He's saying it because ostensibly on the surface, let's help the city out because they have a whole lot of crime. Some people say, well, why is he only targeting certain cities? He's only talking about cities where there's a Democrat or a city where there's a black person. Some have tried to say. I say, if there's a city where there's a whole lot of crime, it doesn't matter if there's a black person or a white person, if it's Democrat or is a Republican. Now, as Donald Trump, you could say he's somewhat playing the game by being a Republican, in name at least, and going against a Democratic-run city. Could you say that's somewhat playing the game? Yes. At the same time, let's look at the actual results. What's the actual situation? Is there high crime in that city? The answer is yes, there is. Is there high crime in Chicago? Yes. Is there high crime in Baltimore? Yes. So the fact that the mayor is black and the mayor is Democrat is secondary and tertiary, respectively, to the fact that there's actual high crime in the city. Because again, what is the government? By the people and for the people. The government is not Democrat or Republican. The government is by the people, for the people. That is the first consideration. The first consideration is what serves the people. What serves the people is we got to do something about the crime, period. Now, if that happens to be making the Democrat look bad or it makes the Republican look bad, so be it, because the number one priority, the number one objective is serving the people, not playing the political game. And again, I'll say for the 17th time here today, this is why you do not trust politicians. They are all liars, and they are using us, the civilians, to bolster the careers of themselves, the politicians. That's the game that they're playing. So other mayors or governors are inspired to resist Donald Trump. I mean, we already noticed they've been trying to, quote unquote, resist him for the last 10 years. And it's a template for leaders in certain cities. They want to claim local sovereignty in the face of any national policies. Well, first of all, Donald Trump hasn't actually done any of this yet. Y'all notice that? Anybody? Y'all register that? None of these things that he's talking about have actually happened. This is what Donald Trump does. He comes out, he floats the idea of something happening. He talks like he's going to actually do it. Everybody gets all excited and talks about it for like a day or a week. like we're talking about it right now. He never actually does it, but it causes changes. That's called controlling the news cycle. So he gets people to make adjustments by threatening to do something that he never even planned on doing. And because everybody gets all reactive, number one, he gets everybody talking about him and keeps them talking about him. Number two, he gets people to do things that he didn't even have to force them to do. All he had to do was threaten to do it. Number three, it gets everybody to notice the problem that he pointed out. So now he got all the news talking about the problem. Everybody's talking about Chicago right now because Donald Trump got everybody to pay attention to it. And the whole time he doesn't have to do anything but post a couple tweets or posts on his Truth Social. That's all you got to do. This is mastery of the media. That's what Donald Trump has done. This is the reason why he won 2 elections. Depending on who you ask, he might have won 3. We're not going to get into that today. Now, if every city resists in its own way, national immigration enforcement collapses. If every city resists, we're not going to help you in mass deporting anybody who is in this city without proper documentation. Then any enforcement of immigration would be a problem. The problem to the problem is that the federal government, if push comes to shove, has more power than a local government. Even though every state is technically its own state and it has sovereignty and they can say you can't do that and they can go to court and get a federal judge to block it. If push comes to shove and everybody puts all their chips into the middle of the table, the federal government can overpower the government of any state or city. If push comes to shove, they could do it. Now, are they going to do it? Probably not. I don't think they're going to need to. I think they make enough noise about certain things, the federal government that is, and it becomes obvious that there's a problem enough. Eventually, the leaders of the local entities, states and cities, are going to be facing so much pressure from their own constituents that they're going to have to do something. Now, that one you're not going to hear on the news. That one's going to happen real quietly because they're not going to want that reported. So they'll very quietly start doing what they're supposed to be doing the whole time. So fragmented rules create confusion for citizens, police, and immigrants alike. Well, I'm not even concerned about the immigrants, the undocumented immigrants. I'm not concerned about them. They should be confused and scared and nervous and afraid, and they should be deported. Why? Because we have rules. The rule is if you're in this country, you got to have proper documentation. If you don't have proper documentation, you need to be caught and removed and shipped out of here and told not to come back. That's the same thing would happen if any of us was in another country without proper documentation. Once they find you, they catch you, they detain you, they plan to get you out of there. And when you leave, they kick you in the ass and tell you don't come back or you're banned from our country for the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. I've told this story. I had a friend who lived in Miami, female. She was from Canada. She came here on a visa and she never left. Her visa was like a 6-month visa, but she stayed here for like 10 years. But she never got caught because nobody was going around looking for her. She goes back to Canada, stupidly. I guess she forgot that she was from Canada. She goes back to Canada, or she forgot that her visa expired. And I guess she thought it was all good. When she tried to get on a plane, she went to Canada for vacation to see her family. She tried to get on a plane to come back to America. They checked her documents and said, you overstayed a visa 10 years ago. You can't come back. You are banned from the United States for 5 years. She got banned for 5 years from the USA. All her stuff, she lived in the USA. Her roommate had to ship all her stuff back to her in Canada because she was banned from the country. That's the way it works. That's the way it's supposed to work. In any other country you do that, that's the same thing they would do to you. You can't just be there and just hang out. We got rules here. So the rule is no documentation, you got to go. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, you've been paying taxes, you got a family, you got a job. It doesn't matter. The rule is you don't have documentation, you have to go. I'm an absolutist when it comes to if the rule and the standard are set and they're etched in stone, they're written down, and everybody knows what they are, and you violate, then you get the penalty of the violation. That's it. No exceptions. You give exceptions to a rule is not a rule. It's a suggestion. So everyday residents are worried about shootings, carjackings, violent crime. They don't care about any of this political posturing. All right, people want peace on the streets. They don't want these symbolic battles between the city hall and Washington, D.C., or this mayor, quote unquote, standing up to Donald Trump. This is all political theater nonsense that they're using to make themselves look good, but it's not actually helping anybody. And this is why, again, I would say for the 35th time here today, politicians are not to be trusted. All that said, let's get into the best part of the day, which is not what I just did. What I just did was great, but there's a better part. Let's get into the comments. Let's get into the commentary section. Now, before we start the comments, I will give you all, as I promised, an overview of how exactly we do things around here and why we do them the way that we do them. So when I read the comments, I will read your comment out loud. If you make a good point, let's start with the positive here today, because I do have one soundboard point from when you do something, you say something that's actually good. You make a really good point, then you will hear the following sound. All right, now that's the only positive one. Now, if you use any of the following logical fallacies, you will hear the following sounds. First of all, the most common logical fallacy is the straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Straw man is when you misrepresent my point or my position to be something that is not, and then you argue against it and represent it in the form of incredulity, ridicule, or sarcasm. If you do that, you will get this sound. I'm sure we're going to use this one today.
Strawberry cheesecake.
If you use the appeal to ridicule, meaning you say something and then you laugh at it, you laugh at your own comment, as if you are ridiculing my point when you're actually using a fallacy, you will get,
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
that is the appeal to ridicule. If you use an ad hominem, meaning you say something personal about me or personal about, I'm sure there'll be some about Donald Trump, instead of actually addressing the point or the position, then that's an ad hominem, and you will get.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
I like this one. It's so fast, though.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
If I want people to do more of something, like the live more, we do need more likes on this live. We need to be at 60,000 before I get to the comments. We're at 56,000. Let's get to 60,000 likes. If I want more of something, then you will hear the following.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
I like this one. I don't get to use it a lot, so let me play it again.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
I'll give another one. If you use an appeal to emotion logical fallacy, where you try to make an emotional point that has no logical basis, that is called the appeal to emotion, you will hear the following.
Emotional, damn it.
This one is funny too. I don't get to use this one as much as I like, but this one.
Emotional, damn it.
If you use a combination of logical fallacies all at the same time, you use multiple fallacies at once. Let's say you use an appeal to emotion and an ad hominem and a straw man all at the same time, then you get an award that we call the Triple Double Award. We'll call it the Russell Westbrook Award for getting a triple double. And using multiple fallacies at once, you will hear the following sound. Combination, and I'll probably play all the sounds at the same time, and you'll definitely get
Strawberry cheesecake.
And I added this sound the other day, but I can't even remember why I added it. So last Friday, I added this sound as a sound of a gun reloading. And I don't even remember why I added it. But if I remember, when I remember, I'll tell you why I added that one, and then we'll start using it. And oh yeah, there's one more that I like to use a lot. If you use any of the other common logical fallacies that were not mentioned above, and you just make a point that does not connect to what you're trying to say or is not connected to the actual topic, then you'll hear another one of my favorites.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Let me say that one more. I like this one a lot. This one I get to use a lot.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Now, so I might just use that one for any reason at all or for no reason at all. So I might just throw that one out there for no reason. So all that said, over on Instagram, B. Miller said, you made a lot of valid points. However, people will not acknowledge the key points that you made. Politicians are not to be trusted. Well, I think people do acknowledge it, B. Miller. The thing is, and I've been on the internet for a long time, so I know this to be true. When people agree with you, they generally don't say much. People talk more when they disagree with you. Just like if you go to a business and they do a good job and you liked it, you don't go on Yelp or Google or the internet and talk about it. But if you have a bad experience at a business, you go on the internet, you tell everybody. So we are more often moved to action and sharing and talking when we disagree than when we agree. When we agree, we tend to ignore and forget things. But when we are angry and we're mad and we disagree, we tend to tell the whole world. So what you're pointing out is, yes, there are people who agree. They're just not going to say anything. So let's get to it. Mike O on TikTok. Sunny Boy said, you can run the race. I don't know what race you're talking about. Mike O said checks and balances. Yes. It's one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to be a politician. I don't like checks and balances. I make a decision, and then in the next hour, the decision is executed on. Checks and balances, you got to make a decision, then you got to go through 10 people before you do anything. I'm not a fan. Beach said crime is a side effect of socioeconomic issues. Affordable housing is one of the solutions. Well, one of the contributing factors, I would say what you're saying here, Beach. You're not going to get a logical fallacy for this because directionally, I agree with you. One of the things that lead to crime are socioeconomic issues. And one of the things that can lead to crime is that people don't have housing or they don't feel like they can take care of their food, clothing, shelter. But we're not going to say that the solution to crime is we just got to give people houses and give them money. And another thing we need to do is put them in jail because there are some people who are just straight up criminals and they need to go to jail, and deterrence tend to move people to action. When people know there's going to be a penalty for doing the wrong thing, they don't do it. So we got to mention that too. So Beej, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt right now. John said he's just yapping. What is the president's plan to solve crime?
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Well, first of all, the president does not have to solve crime in a city because, as I emphasized, Mayor Johnson has asserted the sovereignty of the city to solve their own problems. So the question should be, John, what is the mayor's plan to solve crime, not the president's plan to solve crime? So because of that, you get the very first
Strawberry cheesecake.
Straw Man of the Day award goes to John. Congratulations. Jean said, immigration does affect us every day. How so? What do you mean? Ryan said, Biden did it all the time. Did what? Beej said, you do a great job defending Trump. Okay.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So that's an ad hominem because you're saying I'm defending Trump. I'm not defending him. All I'm doing is making the arguments for both sides, or I'm making the points of both sides and tell you my opinions on it. I don't think I'm defending him because what am I defending? To defend him, he has to have done something bad or wrong, which he didn't really do. As I said, he didn't do anything. All he did was allude to something, and he gets everybody talking. So what am I defending? So for that, you get a strawberry.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Mike said, release the Epstein files. Every day somebody comes with that comment when Donald Trump's name comes up. So you get the first non sequitur of the day. Non sequitur means it does not follow. That's when someone makes a comment that has nothing to do with the actual topic, but they think they're making a point. So you get this one. Congratulations.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Joshies 1, thank you for the follow. Lynette said, the problem is they don't care about documentation. Showing the documentation is due process. Well, it depends on who the judge is. I mean, the judge kind of does have say as to how things go. Sonny Boy said, my son said that about emotions. Said what? Mike O said, Trump is a used car salesman aided by right-wing media.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Well, Mike, if Trump is a used car salesman, he's a pretty damn good one. I mean, he sold half the country on voting for him 3 times. And 2 times he ended up being president. And he's aided by right-wing media. It ain't that much right-wing media. There's a whole lot more left-wing media than right-wing. So I'm not sure that's the point that you think you're making. Jean said, that's why Republicans keep bringing up immigrants. Well, I don't know. Why are Republicans bringing up immigrants? I think everybody brings up immigrants because Donald Trump brought it up. So I don't think it's Republicans. I think it's everybody. So people bring it up to defend them. People bring it up to attack them. And people bring it up to say we should enforce the rules like I did. So I don't think it's Republicans, Jean. I think it's everybody simply because Donald Trump made it a talking point. And he did that successfully because here we are talking about it. Tata, thank you for the follow. Sonny Boy said, that is emotional. Truth is hard to swallow. Renee Du, thank you for the rose. She from Gary, thank you for the follow. Mike said, Trump is only picking on black mayors and politicians. We already addressed that.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Rob's Pippin Rose said, how often are you on? Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Christy, thanks for the follow. Hunter Cabin, thank you for the follow. Jules said, agreed. Thank you. GA Dog said, Donald Trump has inspired the whole world. Well, it depends on what I agree with you, actually. Now, the question GA Dog is inspired them to do what? So he has inspired the whole world, but he has them inspired about half and half for different reasons. Half of them are inspired because they like him. Half of them are inspired because they don't like him. But everybody is engaged. That I would agree with. Kelly said, who will J.D. Vance pick as the VP? If I had to guess today, if he's the nominee, I would say Marco Rubio. But things change. Sonny Boy said Marjorie Taylor Greene, nothing. Yes, so you could add her in. Marjorie Taylor Greene actually does own a business. She actually would be an exception. I didn't know about her business, but I do know that she owns a business because she was on the Megyn Kelly show last week, and they did a long interview. And she was talking about the business that she runs. I forget even what business it is, but she was talking about it extensively with Megyn Kelly. So listen to that interview when she was talking to Megyn, and she did talk about that. So she does do something other than politics. A lot of them don't. That's the whole point. Did y'all see that news report that what's the chick's name from Minnesota? Ilhan Omar. Is that her name? Ilhan Omar. Let me see if the story is still up. I saw it this morning. And where'd it go? I got bumped off the trending topics, but let me see if I can find her. Ilhan Omar. This woman, she noted. So what they said was that where was it at? Somebody had put it there. So in 2019, so you know the politicians, they got to disclose their finances, right? So Representative Ilhan Omar, in 2019, when she did her financial disclosure, her net worth was negative $45,000. 2019, 6 years ago. Negative $45,000. You know what her net worth is now? According to her own reports. Her net worth is $30 million. In 6 years, she went from negative 45 grand to being worth 30 million. Now, that on its surface is not necessarily so crazy because, hey, you got a good business, you do something well, something works, you can make a whole lot of money. But she works in Congress, and her salary in Congress is $174,000 a year. That's not enough to go from negative 45,000 to 30 million. It's enough to get into the black, but it ain't enough to get to $30 million. Now, she had debts, and her assets now are mostly based on her husband's business. She's married, and her husband has a business. And her husband's business is valued somewhere between $6 and $30 million, and that's how her net worth got to anywhere between $6 and $30 million. And these are self-reported ranges. So again, she self-reported that she has $30 million, and that may be because her husband and some people, Mike Benz on X is calling this a shady venture capital firm that she invested in, and that had less than $1,000 in assets, ballooning up to $25 million in a year. There's a whole lot of things to be said about that. But again, we're not going to dive too deep into that. Not today, at least. Jean said a livable wage deters crime. Well, define what a livable wage is. And also, how does somebody become eligible to get a livable wage? You have to actually do something to get paid. Money doesn't grow on trees, as we said. Arnold McFraud, thank you for the join. Dawn Wyatt Smith, thank you for the follow. Jean said a livable wage solves crime. No, that's not true.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Todd Johnson says Chicago is a problem. Yes. Jean said police just make arrests. Well, that I agree with. They do make arrests. So Jean, you finally said something that's correct. Joel Plutt 257, thanks for the follow. Jean said, people who make a livable wage don't steal as much as those in poverty. Well, people in poverty don't necessarily have to steal just because they're in poverty. This is a straw man argument that you're making here. You're trying to draw this parallel that being in poverty means you are just going to do crime just because you're in poverty. There are a lot of black people who might have a problem with this framing, Jean, even though you sound like you're trying to defend them.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Old School Cool said, we have 2.5% inflation, border schools, record high stocks, and 4% unemployment with Trump. Well, you're not going to hear that on the left-leaning media, which controls most of the media. IWS Apparel said, when this happens, I want to see them in Little Village, West Side, Old Block, Underwood, East Side. Are those the places where crime happens? I don't live in Chicago, so I don't know what you're referring to. IWS says, not in downtown. I'm assuming you mean the places where the crime happens. And yeah, that's where they're supposed to be. They don't have enough resources. Jean said, people with good mental health and good education don't commit crimes that much. Okay, I would generally agree with that. And my response to that is, so? What does that have to do with the people who are committing crimes? That's the problem. IWS says, you're right. When you're a 32-count felon, you should be in prison.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Well, it depends on how you got the felonies. What are the felonies? How'd you get them? Who are the victims? All of those things factor into whether or not you go to prison. That's what a judge gets to decide. Donald Trump got, I believe it was 34 felonies, and he didn't go to prison for a reason because everybody knows those charges, they pulled those out of thin air just to get him. Everybody knows that happened. Even if you don't like Trump, everybody knows that is the case. Todd Johnson said, military takeover of Chicago. That's probably not going to happen. Let's see. IWS, don't spam my comments. That'll get you kicked out. Stephen Scott, thank you for the follow. Soccer Momish said, every country I jacks. What does that mean? Moy says, thank you for the follow. Tap the screen, everybody. Get the likes up, please. We're at 75,000 here today.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Soccer Mom says, every country I've traveled to, you need documentation. Yeah, you need documentation to even get on a plane, to leave this country to go to another country. If you don't have the right documentation, they won't even let you get on the plane. Extra cheese. Thank you for the follow. Angelica says, thank you, Jerry. You're welcome. Sunny Boy says, school bus drivers get banned 5 years. Overstaying a visa, get banned 5 years. No 5-year ban, police. I don't know what you're referring to there. I need proper grammar, Sunny Boy. Timberly, Texas Gal, thank you for the follow. Rodney Wilkinson, thanks for the follow. IWS, you put a laughing face. I don't know what you're laughing at. Kareem26, thank you for the follow. Mama Deb says, so when does Melinda leave or Musk? They all lied and overstayed visas. Well, you should call Tom Homan and report them, if that's true. B says, the world is burning. This is a distraction from Epstein and Trump's failed trade policies. That's called a relative privation fallacy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Relative privation fallacy is when someone says, why are you talking about subject A when you should be talking about the more important thing, which is subject B? It's a way of deflecting and drawing people's attention away from something that you don't want addressed. Nice try. Sunny Boy said, how to ban the police for 5 years upon violation. That it comes down to local jurisdiction. That's not a federal thing. That's a local thing, state and city level thing. Nana Cat said, Dre's going to have some fun today. Yes, we have fun every day. Lawler says, you're the mayor. Uh-oh. Well, we know what this is shaping up to be. You're the mayor. How is crime rate going in Chicago? What are you doing to reduce it?
Strawberry cheesecake.
These are called loaded questions. The loaded question is when you ask somebody a question that's already loaded with a premise inside of it as a way of undermining their point or undermining their position. So, Lawless, congratulations on the loaded question of the day. You got the first one. Miche's mom says, schools are doing like the police and not expelling to look good, to look like good, safe schools. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. Marie caught it. Yeah, you caught the loaded question. Yes. Oh, the gun sound. That's what y'all were talking about. Oh, the gun sound is a loaded question. Okay, that's what I got it for. Actually, that is right. All right, so you got the loaded question of the day. That's the sound for the loaded question. I knew I added it for some reason. I couldn't remember why I did it. So y'all help remind me and the person who got the loaded question. So congratulations to who was that got the loaded question. Lawless, thank you for helping me remember why I added a sound to my own soundboard was for the loaded question. It happens so it doesn't happen as often. So I forgot why I even added it, but I knew I needed it because there was a couple loaded questions last Friday, and I said I need a sound for the loaded question. So now I went and found one. Pizza's Love, thank you for the follow. And Terica, Marin, and Marie M, thanks for reminding me of what the loaded question was for. Marky Man said the gun sound was being locked in about something. No, that's not it. I knew it was for something negative. I only got one sound for something positive. That's this one. So I know that all the other, I got 9 sounds loaded into my soundboard right now. Only one of them is for something good. That's the clapping sound. The other 8 are for when people say ridiculous things. So I knew the loaded one was for something. I just couldn't remember. So now we got it. Let's see. Indy Paul said, Mayor is smart, rejected, trash Trump.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Donna Hill said, people in Illinois are sick of Illinois politicians. We want you all gone and we want a fresh start. Well, Donna, I'm assuming you're in Illinois. Y'all better get together and vote and find you a candidate. That's the problem. Because if they got voted for, then hey. Sonny Boy said, I should use complete sentences. I agree. Yes, you should. John said, oh, wow. So no solution.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
I see a little bit of sarcasm in there. And
Strawberry cheesecake.
Indy Paul said, Trump is a big crime running the USA. What does that even mean? Nana Cat said he's going to get a lot of attention this morning. Yes, I don't know who you're talking about, but they probably already getting it. Jean said, you can't change my question and then say I straw man. I didn't change your question. You're straw manning without even trying, John. I don't have to try to change your question. You're doing it. You're setting me up for easy layups. Dawn Wyatt Smith said, human rights should not be a privilege. Or what do you mean by human rights, Dawn? That sounded like a straw man, but I need more context before I give you the award. Donna Hill said, everybody knows that if Trump was on the Epstein list, the Dems would have released it 4 years ago. That is true. Shar Bear said, the only people who don't want Trump helping crime are libs and TDS victims. That is also true. Shar Bear, thank you for the follow. Michelle, good morning. Timothy, thanks for the follow. Michelle, congrats on the gifter badge, and thanks for the hand hearts. Teresa Carter, thanks for the follow. Karina, thank you for the rose. FGB said, can't ignore the Epstein connection. Non sequitur, it's not the topic.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Notoria said, that boy loves some Trump.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Charbear said, yes, Rubio. Yeah, we'll see. It's very early. It's only 2025. It's too early right now. David Luke said, Chicago mayor shouldn't resist. Look what happened to crime in D.C. Well, the mayor of D.C. was open to Trump jumping in also because the mayor of D.C. couldn't resist because it's called the Home Rule Act that in D.C. specifically, the president can do that without having to go through anybody because the government is based in Washington, D.C. So the mayor of D.C. couldn't really push back, even if she, I believe, is a woman. Even if she wanted to, she couldn't. Now, in other cities, they can push back. So it's a little bit different situation. Jean said, MTG insider trades. Okay, Jean, I'll give you that one. That's true. A lot of members of Congress insider trade. So you're right about that. I remember that it got posted that MTG had did a whole bunch of trades right around the time when Trump did the tariff thing. And she disclosed a bunch of trades that she made right before Trump made the announcement. I'm like, how the hell did she know that? That's insider trading. That technically is illegal. And there is a law against it for Congress people to do it. So a lot of people thought, and I originally thought that they were allowed to do it. That's actually not true. There is a law that says Congress people cannot insider trade. The problem is no one enforces the law because who enforces laws? Well, the judiciary. And who makes the laws? The legislature. And nobody will bring it to the table because they're all doing it. So, yes, you're right about that, Jean. So you said like two smart things here today. The MTG insider trades, that is true. And she's not the only one. She just happens to be the example. Notoria said, Trump don't do no wrong in Dre eyes.
Strawberry cheesecake.
The topic today is not about something Trump did. I made it very clear. The whole topic is about something he said that he might do that we know he's not going to do. The whole point is controlling the news cycle. David Luke said, already answered that one. Charbear said, what's AOC's? What's her what? What chat? Oh, you talking about the net worth thing? I don't know. Somebody would have to go dig into that. It probably wasn't interesting enough to be a news item. Ilhan Omar was trending because she reported that she was worth $30 million. So whatever AOC reported, I guess it wasn't interesting enough because nobody talked about it. Dawn said, how is not providing basic human rights a good thing? Dawn.
Strawberry cheesecake.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Combination.
So, Dawn, you get the Russell Westbrook triple-double award of the day because you got the first one, at least the first one that I acknowledged. How is not providing basic human rights a good thing? This is a classic loaded question. I never mentioned basic human rights. Secondly, I never said that anyone should not get basic human rights. Third, that very term, basic human rights, is a very slippery term because it is very subjective. People change what that means based on the conversation and what they're talking about. And I don't know who you're referring to or what you're referring to when it comes to providing it. And never did I allude to it not being a good thing. And it also really depends on what exactly you're talking about. So congratulations to you.
Strawberry cheesecake.
David Luke, thanks for the follow. FGB said GOP enabled an Epstein associate in the White House. Well, that doesn't make sense.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Why not 86? Thanks for the follow. Sabrina Kangas, thank you for the follow. David Luke said Chicago mayor shouldn't resist. Oh, yeah, I read that one already. Dana Buinicki said, didn't she have her father sign a mortgage as her husband? Who are you talking about? Talking about Ilhan Omar? If she did, I don't know about that one. Courtney said, for no reason whatsoever, emotional damage. I haven't used that one today.
Emotional damage.
As a matter of fact, I should have used it with the triple-double award to Dawn. Because Dawn, this is more than a triple-double. It's like a quadruple-double. You had a straw man, you had a non-sequitur, you had a loaded question, and you had an appeal to emotion all in one sentence, and you made it fit within one line. So that was very well done, Dawn. Congratulations. So I should have used it before, Courtney. So thanks for pointing it out. Daryl Gravy, thank you for the follow. Paul K. Razowski, thank you for the follow. FGB said, what about the criminals that are connected to Epstein? Like who? They haven't proven anything. You got to prove it. Y'all know what it is to call. You call somebody a criminal, you got to prove they committed a crime. And then they go to court and they get adjudicated. They get an adjudicated punishment for their crime. Ashley Mack, good morning. Dawn said, not true. The rich are stealing from us daily. That's not true.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Dawn, what's being stolen from you? Who's doing the stealing and how much have they stolen? I need you to answer all three questions. Jean said they're more likely to commit crime and also didn't say black people. Poverty is worldwide. I know you didn't say black people, Jean. I didn't say that you did. I said when you say that you alluded to people being in poverty are more likely to commit crimes, that's not necessarily true. And we're talking about a black city, and there's a lot of poverty in places like Chicago, low income housing in places like Chicago. So combined with the subject and the fact that you said that, what I'm saying is it sounds like you're trying to defend the situation in Chicago. I'm saying that there's some people in Chicago, that framing that you gave, some of them might be offended by that, even though you're actually trying to defend them. That was my point. But you got a straw man not because of that. You got a straw man because of the overall frame of the statement, not just that part. TikTok ref says, still waiting on what a livable wage is, different all over the country. And yeah, I don't even agree with the concept of a living wage, that you earn what you are able to command in a marketplace. That's the way it works. You do not get a certain amount of money just because you need it to live your life. So if your job right now pays you enough that you can live a life that costs $1,000 a month, but then the cost of your life go up to now the cost of your life is $2,000 a month, you can't just go to the job and say, hey, job, y'all were paying me $1,000 a month to live. Now my life costs more, so I need you to give me $2,000. I'm the same worker. I'm going to do the same stuff and provide the same value that I was providing yesterday, but I just need twice as much money just because my life costs more money. That's bullshit. If I'm the boss, I'm saying no. If you want more money, you got to provide me more value. If you can't provide more value, I'm not giving you more money. So you can either A, live off your salary and figure it out because that ain't my business how much your life costs. B, quit and go get a better job and somebody will pay you more money. But I'm not paying you more money to do the exact same work that I was paying you $1,000 for yesterday. Now I pay you $2,000 just because? No, I'm not doing it. So the whole concept of living wage is a farce. And I got a whole episode of my podcast where I'll discuss this, by the way. Those of y'all who don't know, I have a podcast, comes out every single day. It's called Work on Your Game. You can find it on Apple or Spotify. It comes out every day, about 25 minutes per episode. Do Free said, people in poverty steal from those with a livable wage. Yeah, sometimes, not all of them, but I get what you're saying. S. Stafford said, do not come to Chicago, Mr. Trump, with the National Guard. Well, he's probably not going to anyway. This is all just controlling the news cycle. Amber said, Trump is at Walter Reed Hospital. Well, he might be. There's a lot of things you could do at a hospital. So it depends on what he's doing. Stephen Scott said, correlation with crime is fathers in the home. Yes, that's a big thing. And at the same time, actually, I will say that's true. Shar Bear said, even Judge Judy said you had to twist yourself in the pretzel to figure out what the crime was. LOL. Yeah, depending on how it's being tracked. Yeshua Z. Winger, thank you for the follow. Gadget Guy, somebody already mentioned Epstein files a couple times here. You got to come with something better. JRS, thank you for the follow. Angelica says, I have a question. Can Trump override then keeping the military out of Chicago? Technically, he could. He would have to push pretty hard, and they have the resources to do it. But I don't think he's going to do that because it would be too messy and it would take too much resources to even override everything. It's not even worth the juice is not worth the squeeze. Technically, as a president, he could override damn near any state or any city on anything he wants to do if he really wanted to do it. He would have to push people to do things that they wouldn't want to do. I don't think he's going to do it. There would have to be a serious emergency. And right now it is an emergency, but it's not a serious one. At least not to anybody who doesn't live in those areas of Chicago. Mary Posa Hermosa, thank you for the follow. Damn, I lost my spot. Let's see how far we are in the comments here today. Okay, we might be able to catch up soon. Ms. Scarp, thank you for the follow. Jean said he's been deflecting all my arguments. No, that's not true.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Every day, whoever it is leaving the most comments and getting the most logical fallacy awards claim that I'm deflecting or not answering your questions or reframing your question. Every day is a different person. So Jean, today you're that person. Sunny Boy said the police has immunity. If convicted, the police are not banned 5 years from employment. Well, the police have qualified immunity, Sunny Boy. They don't have absolute immunity. They have qualified immunity. A police officer can go to jail. I mean, look at the George Floyd situation. All 4 of those cops went to jail. So it's not true that they have immunity, just blank immunity. And it said, that's the guy sound loaded question. Yeah, it's a loaded question. That's right. So a bunch of you remember. I didn't even remember. The OG McCoy said, Trump can hit the shy political leaders the same time he is the streets. Shy been corrupted for years. Well, yeah, but the people voted for those people. So, I mean, what are we going to do? Stephen Sullivan said, not answering the question about crime. What's the question? What question did I not answer? Angelica said, we protect our money in this country more than we protect our children, and that's really sick. Okay. I'm thinking about that one. Okay. I would need more context. I would need more context to whether I agree or disagree with that. Depends on what frame you're using. There's 100 different ways you can go with that opening thesis statement. Candace Wilk, thank you for the follow. Sunny Boy said, this is so much fun. I agree. Edmund Quatel Sr., thank you for the share. Take Chances Live, purchase an auto renewal subscription. Thank you for the subscription. And Take Chances. ZJ Zender, thank you for the share. Nana Cat, thank you. Devo, thanks for the follow. Jonathan Pass says, are you backing a system? Then he put a questioning emoji. Jonathan, this is sounding like a straw man. Sounding like you're about to give me a straw man, Jonathan, but let me give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's read everything you said. Jonathan says, are you backing a system that has been made to oppress you just because you are comfortable? Oh, Jonathan, come on.
Strawberry cheesecake.
So that's a straw man number 1.
Emotional, damn it.
Appeal to emotion number 2.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Ad hominem number 3. Loaded question number 4.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Non sequitur number 5.
Combination.
Congratulations, Jonathan, on the triple-double, Russell Westbrook triple-double award for you. So let's look at all the fallacies in Jonathan's statement. First of all, am I backing this? First of all, this is a loaded question because he has all these premises built into a question he's asking me as if I need to answer this. Am I backing a system? And this is a yes or no question. There's also a false binary, which I didn't even mention. So am I backing the system? I'm not backing anything. So there's one fallacy right there that has been made to oppress me. All right, this is some nonsense, emotional. Let's play that one again.
Emotional, damn it.
So this is an appeal to emotion, a system that has been made to oppress me. How is this system being made to oppress me? And Jonathan, how are you oppressed currently? I want to know all oppressions you're dealing with right now. Just because I am comfortable. All right, and this is a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Never did I say that I was comfortable. Comfortable with what? What are you referring to? And so on Instagram, I just got a notification that said, to avoid your video being stopped and removed, please don't share any more recorded music during your broadcast. If a video is removed, it can't be saved, shared, or replayed. So Instagram is calling this recorded music. The things that I just played, I didn't play any sounds. Any music sounds. I just played normal sounds. So Instagram is the first time I ever got that notification. But I think it might have been that Drake sound when I said combination. I think that's the only one that might be a sound. So I might not play the combination one anymore. I think that's what they're referring to. I don't think these sounds of people talking is what they're talking about. So Jonathan, this is a super loaded question with a whole bunch of logical fallacies all built into the question. I'm hoping, Jonathan, with the framing of this question, that you're under the age of 25. If you're over 25, I'm concerned for your future. If you're under 25, then there's hope for you. Carla said the soundboard has added an extra dimension to our lives. That's right. I agree. It has. Creek Boys Fishing said Don Jr. for vice president. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's right now in the running. Carrie, go get him. Good morning. Texas Queen Mom, congrats on the gifted bags. B said, you mentioned politicians using distractions. This is a distraction from what? What am I distracting? Paul Krasowski said, just imagine what Trump could accomplish if he didn't have to pick up the pieces from Biden. Well, here's the thing, Paul. Every politician can say that about the opposite side politician that came before them. So technically, that's kind of built into the game. We can imagine it, but that's part of the game. Sonny Boy said John got 3 applause. Yeah, he got 3. He actually got a couple. He got more logical fallacies than applause. He's like LeBron in the NBA Finals. He got more losses than wins, but he did get some wins. Sam Lennon said president can declare emergency allowing police support. Yeah, he could do. There's a lot of things the president could do. I don't think Trump's going to do any of these things. Chili times 200. Texas Queen Mom, thank you. Lee says called the Stock Act. Is that what the Trump president can do? Dawn said human rights, food, housing, health, education, and most civilized, successful nations provide. Okay, I get what you're saying. However,
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
you can get food from the government. The government does provide that. The government can provide housing if that's what you want. As far as health, no, our government doesn't do that because our health is privatized. I'm not a fan of the medical system in America, but that is what our system is right now. Education, you can get that publicly. So you pretty much get that as being a member of the nation. You got public schools. And the only one that we don't offer to everybody, Dawn, is the health system. And you said that most civilized, successful nations provide. Well, this is also a non sequitur and a false frame.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
America is the most successful nation in probably the history of the world. So to say most successful, civilized, successful nations as if America needs to measure up to them when it actually is them who need to measure up to us. That's not to say that America is perfect, but America is the best as far as what we do as a nation. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but we're the best. No one's trying to leave America and go somewhere else. You, for example, Dawn, ain't moving out of America to go to one of those other civilized, successful nations that you're referring to. You're touting them, but you ain't living there, are you? Okay, so your own example. Don't tell me what you think and what you want to say. Show me what you're doing. You want to know what somebody's really about? Don't look at their lips moving. Watch their feet. Dawn, when are you moving to one of these civilized, successful nations that do everything right? The answer is never. You ain't going nowhere. You're going to sit here and talk on TikTok about how bad America is while you enjoy all the fruits and benefits of being in America. So it sounds good on the internet, but show me some action.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Bob Scott, thank you for the join. Optimus Jim, thank you for the follow. Ashley Max said, TDS alive and kicking this morning. Critical thinking is an amazing thing. Well, TDS will always be alive and kicking as long as Trump is alive and kicking. Actually, as long as Trump is in office. Actually, even after he's out of office. He's out of office, he's still alive. TDS will be useful. Pam Black says, I guess you're on Uncle Tom because if you don't see the nastiness behind the Epstein and I didn't see the rest of that. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or you're trying to add hominem to me.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Strawberry cheesecake.
The nastiness behind the Epstein and the what? The nastiness behind Epstein? What does that have to do with anything? Epstein's not even the topic here today. So again,
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
why do people keep trying to bring up Epstein when the topic has nothing to do with that? Stevie D said the rich aren't stealing, the rich are making. Yes, so it's a very interesting frame when people say the rich are stealing from people. How are you stealing or exploiting from or exploiting people when you're the one actually giving them the very job that they're complaining is not paying them enough money? Like, do you know how many people are employed by Amazon? You know how many people work for Microsoft? You know how many people work for any of the companies that Elon Musk has control over? A whole lot. And they're saying these are the people who are being, exploited or stolen from. Makes no sense. Take Chances said, best $50 I spent for a year subscription. Congratulations. Yes, I agree with you. Where are we in the comments? Mark B, thank you for the follow. The one who smells said, get to work. I'm at work right now. This is part of my work. Art Edward, thank you for the follow. Big Nurse, thank you for the repost. Carla Indiana said, you want a living wage, cut your bills. Well, I got a better idea, Carla. If you want a living wage, then all you need to do is increase your value in the marketplace. So you can have high bills if you want. You just got to make enough money to pay them. That's all. Texas Queen said, one problem, we as consumers live outside of our means. Yes, that is true. America is a nation of consumers. Good Guy said, why don't the Democrats go to South Chicago and tell the bad guys to turn in their guns? Because they tried that shit 20 years ago and it doesn't work. Nana Cat said, John needs the attention. Well, he got it. I think he left. Ray J said, resist Trump so you can keep your corrupt schemes alive. Yeah. Christopher Barker said a lot of people live outside their means and blame employer. Need someone to blame. So a bunch of you said the same thing on that one. I get it. The OG McCoy said the problem in Chicago, we don't get good candidates. The corruption is deep. Yeah, Chicago is heavily Democrat. And I don't see it changing for a long time. Jonathan said, how have any other policies from the current administration helped in any way? What is the debate?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
The topic here today is the mayor of Chicago saying that he will resist any federal help from Donald Trump, and he seems to be doing it as political posturing, not because he's trying to help the people. The topic today is not about the policies of the current administration or how they help anybody. So this is what we call a red herring. It's also a loaded question.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Take Chances said the emotional damage sound is hilarious. It is hilarious. I don't get to use it that often, but I'll just play it for no reason right now.
Emotional damage.
Marky said if there were white people in Chicago, would it be an emergency? I don't think so, because if there were white people in Chicago, then one thing that in the black community is that we don't check the idiots in our community. A lot of people have a problem with them, but they won't check them. And we used to. 25, 35 years ago, if there was an idiot in the black community, black people would check the idiot. If there's an idiot in the Jewish community, they check the idiot. If there's an idiot in many white communities, the white people check the white idiot. In the black community, we don't check the idiots. We celebrate the idiots. We celebrate and defend the idiots in our community. That's one of the reasons why these type of problems exist. To allow the universe, thank you for the follow. Sonny Boy said, oppression is like being claustrophobic. What does that mean? Dawn named Netherlands, Switzerland, and Denmark, and many other mature countries. Okay, which one do you live in? What country do you live in? Nana says, someone from IG must have reported it. I don't think so, Nana. I think it's their AI system. They all use AI systems these days. So if you use sound, you get an immediate notification that you're using sound. Right? TikToks, they have AI that's listening to what I'm saying. YouTube, the same thing. They have AI for that because there's too many videos. They have to have some type of system to catch it. And AI is good enough these days to catch it. So I think it was that combination one, because that combination is actually a clip from Drake, some song he was doing, I guess, or rapping. So I'm going to have to change that one. So I got to find a new triple double sound. I'm going to stop using that Drake sound because some platforms might start seeing that as music. Sonny Boy said Gavin Newsom for president, Kamala for vice president. I don't think they can do that because they're both from California. So they couldn't be on the same ticket. He got my lighter, said that sounds maybe intellectual property. Yeah, it's the Drake one. That's the one that they were talking about. It's not the other ones. The other ones are just audio clips of people talking. These are not sounds from songs. If it's from a song, they have a very good system for catching music. So when I first started doing the soundboard, I had several of them that were music, and I had to stop using them because that day when I did that live, I got a bunch of notifications from YouTube and Facebook that you can't do that. We didn't say I can't do it. They just said your music, you got a copyright, not a strike, but like whoever owns that music, they can monetize the video, but you can't monetize it. That's what they told me. So I said, let me find something more simple. Christopher said, if you're comfortable, it's because you work to become comfortable. What's wrong with that? Yes, that's a very good point. Desperado said, I think he meant if Trump hadn't had his terms interrupted, he had the momentum of his first term. Yes, and it's funny because him losing that 4 years and Biden being in gave him a chance to regroup, and now he came in with a better team, which he wouldn't have been able to do back then. Lee said the Stock Act, it's for the insider trading. Yes, I read about the Stock Act on this live probably back in April. This is when MTG had those trades that she put through right before Trump announced the tariffs, and everybody's like, how the hell did she get all 12 of these stocks? And she either bought or sold them right before they either dipped or went up. And everybody's like, this is insider trading. And the thing is, they all do it. She was just the one who got pointed out that day. User 536 said, damn, you're refreshing. Thank you. Jammer said he would have to get a visa and healthcare to go to another country. Who are you talking about? All right, a few more comments here, folks. We got 10 minutes to go. We're already at over 100,000 likes. Thank you, everybody, for the likes. Karina, thank you for the goats. Mark Weddington, thank you for the follow. Well, Heck said Uncle Tom's offensive. Yeah, I know what it means. I was trying to figure out the frame of what the person was saying. Big, I don't know if they were being sarcastic or they were being accusatory. I didn't get it. Big B58, thank you for the follow. Nana Cat said billionaires provide the jobs. Yeah, they provide a lot of jobs. Sonny Boy said, that's what my son said about emotions. You want to change the subject because of your emotions. Yes, a lot of people do that. CSM Max said, Trump needs to arrest the mayor and make him go away. Well, arrest him on what grounds? Trump doesn't have that power. Dawn said, inflation definitely make it hard for some to make it working hard full time. I agree with you, Dawn. There, I'll give you a clap for that. I did a 3-part series on my podcast. By the way, my podcast comes out every day. It's called Work on Your Game. So if y'all want to hear me talk about more evergreen subjects, which is what my podcast and my full-time business is about, it's not about current events. You want to hear me talk about evergreen subjects? I did a 3-part series on why the middle class is collapsing. And the middle class is collapsing to the point that there will not be a middle class about 15 years from now. It might happen sooner. Because one of the reasons is inflation. So it's harder to make ends meet, even if you're working a full-time job and working hard at your job. The solution that I see is telling people who are listening, you need to increase your marketplace value so that you are making more money, such that as prices go up, you are making more than the increase in price so that you can always be above water no matter what. That's the actual solution. Now, not everybody wants to hear that because that requires effort, but that is the solution. The other option is you sit and wait for the government or somebody else or Bernie Sanders or AOC or what's my guy in New York, Mamdani, to fix things for you. I wouldn't bet on that. Personally, I wouldn't do that. 2Logic for you said, thank you for being one of the good ones. Thank you. Bad Chad Hunter said, is all the blue states that need military patrol? Yeah, I don't think any of them is going to get it, though. Drea, thank you for the follow. 2Logic, you're welcome. Traditional said they are in the suburbs. Yes. Nana said they open up GoFundMe. Yeah, they might. Batino said, did you see videos of kids coaching having to lay down because No, I didn't see that. Jonathan Pass said the oldest living black person that was born with equal rights before the law is in their 60s. What does that even mean, Jonathan? I'm not quite getting your point. Blue Sky says Chicago struggling with crime and they don't want help just because it's coming from Trump? That's what it looks like. Now, the mayor is saying something different, Blue Skies. He's saying that he doesn't want governmental overreach, but my theory is he's just playing political games because he's a Democrat and he needs to do what he got to do for his career. So basically what you're asking, I agree. Carlos said, can we get some GOAT gifts? So we got a few of them here today. Sam Varney says, some Congress people don't own any stocks. When I say they all do it, I'm not saying every single 535 members of Congress, Sam. Please don't split hairs with me with literalism. I'm meaning the ones who are able to get in the game, they take advantage of the game they're in. Listen, if I had the same access to information that MTG has, I would insider trade too if I was in Congress because I know I'm not going to be held accountable. Now, if I insider trade from where I sit today, I'd go to jail because the SEC would be on me. But if I was in her position and I had the same access, I would do the same thing that she's doing. The game is the game. Okay, so my company is called Work on Your Game. And one of the things that I tell people is that you got to know what game you're in. And when you're in a game and there's certain things you can get away with, listen, we could all talk shit about them from where we are now. But if you were in their position and you could get away with it, you will probably do the same thing. I'm not asserting that all of you absolutely would do it, but I'm betting that most of you would do it if you get away with it. I'm sitting there telling you right now, I would do it. If I can insider trade and get away with it, I would insider trade all damn day. Why not? I can make a whole bunch of money and not be held accountable for using a loophole that other people don't have access to. That's an unfair advantage. Unfair advantages put you ahead of most people. I will take advantage of an unfair advantage every day. I used to play basketball for a living. I'm 6'4". My unfair advantage is the fact that I'm tall. If I was 5'4", I could work as hard as I wanted. I wouldn't have made it as a basketball player. So everybody has certain unfair advantages. The problem is many people never identify their unfair advantages or they don't utilize them. And some unfair advantages, well, you look at it from the outside looking in, you're like, damn, that's not fair. They can do that. That's the fucking point. That's kind of the point. That's the reason why they're unfair. So Sonny Boy said, do you think Donald Trump's new team is a better team? With Pete Hegseth? Well, his team is a bunch of people. It's not just Hegseth. I think it's a better team, Sonny Boy, under the frame that Donald Trump got to pick all these people knowing more about how the government works as opposed to what he knew the first time through. He said this in one of his interviews. I think it was the one he did with Schultz, where he said the first time through, he picked a lot of people for his cabinet who had been vetted already because he didn't quite know what the process was for finding the right people. So he was going into it blind, and he picked a bunch of people who he otherwise would not have picked if he had another chance. He said a lot of them backstabbed him. You saw the first term, a lot of people in his cabinet ended up working against him, not with him. So the second time through, because he had that 4 years to think about it. When Biden was president, he got to bring in everybody he wanted. So he got Kristi Noem, he got Pam Bondi, he got RFK, he got Tulsi, he got Hegseth, he got Kash Patel, he got all the people he wanted this time around. So it's better, quote unquote, not because I think the people, person by person, is better than the old person, Sonny Boy. What I'm saying is Trump got the people he wanted this time. And because they're the people he wanted, by definition, that makes it better because he wasn't just picking people because they were available. He's picking people because he got exactly who he wanted to pick. So that's what I'm saying when I say his team is better this time. Matino says, it seems so many people want America to fail. DJT, great things are getting recognized. I agree with this. And the thing is this, that if you're a citizen of the United States of America, as a citizen here, you should want the president to succeed. Even if you didn't vote for the president, you should want the president to succeed because you live here. Why would you want the president to fail? That means the country's failing. You want the country to fail just because you're a Democrat and the president is a Republican or vice versa. That doesn't make any sense. So Sam said, it's not inflation. You said those people are just living outside their means. No, I didn't say that.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
I was reading the comments of what other people said. Like 3 people said that. I was reading their comments. That's not what I said. Quincy Winters, thank you for the share. Good guy said, why doesn't the mayor walk into South Chicago and tell the bad guys to turn their guns? Because it won't work. Aaron Grammatico said, you're a smart man. Love your views. Thank you. Daniel said, don't hate the player, hate the game. That's right. Or go play the game. Sam said, no wonder you're a Trumper. I wouldn't do something just because I could get away with it. Integrity. Okay, let's play with this one right here.
Emotional, damn it.
So this is an appeal to emotions. It's also a moral high ground, logical fallacy. So he's playing a moral high ground.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Then he said, I'm a Trumper.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And now Sam, in a comment on TikTok, is claiming he wouldn't do something just because he could get away with it. Well, Sam, nobody knows who you are. So it's easy to say on the internet what you wouldn't do if you could get away with it. But see, if you can get away with it, nobody would know that you did it. So you see how that works? Sam, you can't fool me.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Then Sam went on to say he has integrity. Well, everybody has integrity when they're just talking about it. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm also not saying that you do. Anybody can have integrity in the comments on the internet. So, I mean, what are you proving? Morgan said, I love Trump more than my son, Dwayne. Are you saying you love him more than you love your son, or you love him more than your son loves him? Which one are you saying there, Morgan? That can be interpreted in 2 different ways. OG McCoy said, if lobbying wasn't allowed, we would see a positive change and government would actually work for us. That's true. The problem is there's so much money involved in lobbying that if you go and try to stop lobbying, OG McCoy, you might get Epsteined.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
So I would be careful doing that, OG McCoy. I agree with you, but be careful. You saw what they did to Elon Musk when he came in there threatening money. You threaten the money of the government will respond. They're not going to sit there and just let you do it. Good guy said VP Pence stabbed Trump. Well, I get it. I get what you're saying. Katarina, thank you for the share. Daniel said it's actually sad Americans are preying on the downfall of America. Well, they're really not. What they're preying on is the downfall of Trump. And by extension, that would be the downfall that would hurt America. So most people are not looking at it as I want to see America fail. There are people doing that, but on the subject of Trump, they really are against Trump, not America. Karina said he must not know who Nancy Pelosi is. Yeah, exactly. Sam Varney said they don't get held accountable is the thing, not that they don't get caught. But nobody cares. The whole point is nothing happens. The bottom line is nothing happens. Getting caught, what does getting caught mean? Getting caught by who and on what grounds? And then what happens? The answer is nothing. Sam says, funny how you say Democrats shouldn't want Trump to fail when Trump sabotaged the border bill. We addressed that like a year ago, Sam. You got to catch up. The border bill was framed by, for those of you who don't know, that was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden coming out with a bill in the summer of 2024 when Trump started ramping up his campaigning and saying, hey, the border, the border, the border. He was nailing the Democratic Party or the Biden/Harris ticket on the border. Look how terrible things are at the border. Look how crazy immigration is, which it was. Then Kamala Harris and Joe Biden scrambled to get a bipartisan, because they got some Republican support, border bill, quote unquote, on the floor of Congress. Donald Trump made a few calls to his people in Congress, and the bill basically got shut down. The bill did not pass Congress and didn't get a chance for Biden or the auto pen to sign the bill. and Kamala Harris tried to campaign on, well, we got a bipartisan border bill, but Donald Trump wouldn't support it. So that's the reason why the border is all messed up. When that's nonsense, because the border was messed up for 3 whole years. And the Biden-Harris administration did nothing about the border until it was being used against them politically. Then they tried to make it look like they're trying to do something about the border when they were not doing anything. The border was exactly as they wanted it to be, which was things being crazy. It wasn't until it was being used against them politically to where they might lose their political power that all of a sudden they cared about the border.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
So, Sam, please come with something better than that. Katie, Texas conservative, said, I find it funny the news freaking out because they haven't seen Trump in a week when we never saw Biden. Yes, it's also a very good point. Sonny Boy, we're in overtime now, folks, so we'll do a few more minutes. Sonny Boy said, President Trump kicked Musk out so fast. No, Elon Musk only had he was a special government employee. You only get 150 days. A lot of people don't know that. It was 150 days or something around that amount. 150 days you get, and then after that 150, you can be extended. But Elon Musk had decided by that point, I want to go back to running my companies. Elon Musk is better at running private businesses than he is, well, not technically private. They are publicly traded, but running entrepreneurial ventures, that's Elon Musk's deal. That's his thing. The government is not Elon Musk's thing. Elon Musk is not a public sector guy. So he didn't belong in the government. That's why he did 150 days and got the hell out of there. So Trump did not kick him out. He just didn't extend his working. I don't think Elon Musk wanted to be extended. And if I was Elon Musk, I wouldn't want to be extended. Jammer said, saying that didn't see 37 trillion debt as a threat. Isn't insider trading what put Martha Stewart in prison? Yes, and Martha Stewart's not a congressperson. So that's why they got her. And they could have let that go. What Martha Stewart did is not something that hasn't been done by others. She just happened to be the one that got held accountable. They could have let that go easily. Dawn said, not against Trump at all. I want the best for my country and our people. All right, fair enough. Daniel said, facts. They want to try to fix the border for an election. Yes, that's what they tried to do, but everybody saw through the nonsense. Everybody saw exactly what Kamala Harris was doing. She said, well, we got a border bill. They kept saying it. We got this border bill, and Donald Trump killed the bill because he wanted to campaign on it. Like, mofo, the border has been ridiculous for 3 straight years. Now, all of a sudden, y'all got a border bill. All of a sudden, you have a border bill in July of 2024 when you've been in office since 2021. All of a sudden, you got a border bill. The thing is, Kamala Harris could have got away with that line of reasoning 15 years ago. She couldn't get away with it now because we all have access to information. We all knew how crazy it was for 3 straight years. So when she came out with that, combined with the fact that Kamala Harris is very packaged, she's a very plastic. She has a very plastic personality. She just doesn't come across as believable. So all of those things combined with Trump hammering them on it, all made them look bad. And the fact that Trump was on that in 2016. So it's not like he just came up with some new idea. Kamala said he's trying to campaign on the border. He's been campaigning on the border since 2016. So it was not like he came up with some brand new thing. He's always been on this. So Jammer said, my favorite when they say he has dementia. Who, Biden? Yeah, who knows what Biden had? Biden got a whole bunch of things. Sam said, who cares if it's for the election? Don't you want it fixed? So, Sam, you seem to just be throwing anything out there to try to have a position. What are you doing here?
Emotional, damn it. You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Gerald Miller, thank you for liking the live. So, everybody, we are at overtime, so we're going to shut this one down right now because I need to go to the restroom. I did take a bathroom break here today, which I usually do. So, we do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. Let me tell you how to get into our world on a basic level. You can get my book called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. Book that has been most popular in the month of August. We're now in September, but the most popular book last month was this one, The Mirror of Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. This book is all about how you look in the mirror and be the best version of you so that you can do what you need to do and have what you want to have in life. That is the process for achieving in life, being, doing, having in that order. A lot of people get it out of order. Get this book, mirrorofmotivation.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. And those of you who are more business-minded or sales-minded, you can get my book, The Sales Discipline System. The 8 key disciplines, the top salespeople in any industry to say goodbye to up and down months and inconsistent habits. This book is all for the salespeople and entrepreneurs, the people out there who got to go kill what you eat. Go to salesdisciplinebook.com. Again, this book is free. Just cover the shipping. If you forgot the links of what I just told you, go to the link in my profile. There is a page that has links to all of these books. It's workonyourgame.live. It has links to everything. Salesdisciplinebook.com, mirrorofmotivation.com, thirddaybook.com. We will get these books physically to your doorstep. I have written 41 books overall. So each one of these is a sales funnel. So if as you get the one book, we're going to offer you more books. You do not have to get any more. You can just get the one. Just cover the shipping. We'll send you one. If you want 4, we'll send you 4. You want 5, you want 10. I don't mean 5 of the same book. I mean, we will offer you other books in addition to this one. You have the option of getting more than one, because after you read one of my books, you're going to want to read another one, because my books are like Lay's potato chips. You can't eat just one. As soon as you read one, you're going to want to read another. So you might as well get them all at the same time, because who reads just one book? Nobody. Either you read books or you don't. If you read books, get these. Yes, my books are available in digital format. So if you like books on your phone, we have that. Yes, my books are available in audio format. So if you like the audio version of books, we have those as well. We got them in every format. In the future, when there is AI and virtual reality books, we're going to have my books in AI and virtual reality, whatever that looks like and goes like. We're going to have that too. Mirrorofmotivation.com, thirddaybook.com, salesdisciplinebook.com. I will be here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Topic to be determined. So thank you to all the new viewers who came in here today. Shout out to my regulars and moderators who have been here, who are here consistently. Thank you to everybody who liked the live. We got 130,000 likes here today. We always do at least 100K likes. So shout out to everybody who's been in here. Shout out to the 100 or so of you who stayed here the entire 2 hours. It's been a long live here today. And I didn't take a bathroom break here today. So I need to stop talking so I can go to the restroom and eat and get on with the day. Welcome to the month of September, everybody. Those of you who are goal setters, make sure you set your goals for the month. I'm big on goal setting. So if you have not set your goals for the month, make sure you do so. I will tell you, we do have a coaching program that y'all can get involved in as well. I'll usually only mention the books, but we have coaching as well. So if you want to work with me as your direct coach, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link in my profile has all these links on it, so don't worry about remembering this stuff. We have a coaching program called The Circle. You can get in it for $97 a month. It's just $97 a month. There is no contract. You can cancel anytime you want. You get access to me on our live calls that we do twice a month. Our next call is this upcoming Saturday. We have Dre GPT. That is my 24/7 chat bot. So y'all know about Chat GPT, right? Everybody heard of Chat GPT? Here's Dre GPT. Y'all see it right at the top. Dre GPT. You see that picture of me? Dre GPT. You get access to this 24/7 access. So any question you would ask me, you can ask Dre GPT and get answers when you're a member of the circle. And you get access to our group community. So everybody who's already in the circle, we have a group chat on WhatsApp. You can get into that group chat. I answer questions in there as well. I got a few that I just addressed actually just yesterday. And our next live call, again, is upcoming Saturday, $97 a month to be in the circle. Go to the link in my profile. You get more information about that. That is that, everybody. All y'all have a great Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow morning. Topic to be determined. Work on your game. We're out of here.